This is an explainer on Thomas Nagel's 1974 paper, What Is It Like to Be a Bat? Modern science claims it can explain human consciousness. It can't. I'm not going to waste your time with a long, flowery introduction. Let's just look at the facts. A lot of scientists think they can explain the human mind. They're wrong. Modern reductionist science operates on a premise of shoddy craftsmanship. It assumes the mind, your entire conscious experience, can be neatly reduced to brain chemistry, to purely physical states. That is completely false. It's an overreach of a tool not built for the job. You wouldn't use a belt sander to drive a nail. It's foolish. Part 1. The faulty premise. Scientists waste a perfectly good workday trying to explain feelings using physical chemistry. It's a fool's errand. They call it psychophysical reduction. The thinking goes, because they successfully reduced water to H2O, they can do the exact same thing to the human mind. But consider Nagel's own words. He states plainly that consciousness is what makes the mind-body problem really intractable. Reducing water to H2O helps you understand water. Reducing consciousness to brain states destroys the only thing that actually makes it consciousness. The familiar analogies are easy. They're also wrong. So what is consciousness? Nagel provides a direct, unembellished definition. A conscious mental state simply means there is something that it is like to be that organism. It's that simple. If an organism is conscious, there is a specific feeling of what it is like to be it. It feels like something for a dog to be a dog. It feels like something for you to be you. If there's no internal feeling, it isn't conscious. It's just an object, like a rock or a well-crafted mahogany bureau. Part 2. The bat test. To expose the limits of human understanding, we're going to use a bat. It's a mammal, sure, but a fundamentally alien form of life. Humans perceive light to see. We use it to examine the grain in a piece of walnut. Bats use sonar. They emit high-frequency shrieks and read the echoes. It's a highly effective three-dimensional perception. But there is a massive, unbridgeable gap between our experience and theirs. Part 3. The limits of imagination. People have egos. They make the arrogant assumption that a man can simply sit in a chair and imagine what it's like to be a bat. So you try some mental acrobatics. You picture having webbing on your arms. You imagine flying around at dusk and dawn. You picture catching bugs in your mouth or hanging upside down by your feet in a dark attic. Let me be perfectly clear. Doing this does not tell you what it is like to be a bat. It only tells you what it would be like for you, a human, to behave like a bat. You're just a person pretending. The actual, subjective, internal experience of the bat remains completely inaccessible to you. As Nagel points out, the best evidence would come from the experiences of bats if we only knew what they were like. But we don't. We're restricted to the limited resources of our own minds. Look, you can't build a sturdy dining table using only a plastic spoon. And you can't extrapolate an alien inner life using only human experiences. It is physically impossible. Part 4. The boundary of objective science. Science demands objectivity. It requires removing the personal viewpoint to find a universal, undeniable truth. That works very well for studying timber, but it fails completely when you try to study experience. Think of it this way. A blind Martian could study lightning as a purely objective electrical discharge without ever actually seeing a flash of light in the sky. Objective science works by moving away from human perception toward things that absolutely anyone can measure. But here's the problem with that. If you remove the subjective viewpoint from consciousness, you have absolutely nothing left. Removing the visual flash from lightning still leaves you with electricity. That's a useful fact. But the very essence of consciousness is the subjective viewpoint. If you discard how something feels just to try and find an objective physical reality underneath it, you destroy the exact phenomenon you're trying to study. You simply cannot separate an experience from the person experiencing it. Part 5. The unsolved mystery. Because science demands strict objectivity, it is fundamentally the wrong tool to explain a purely subjective phenomenon. You can't measure a feeling with a set of calipers. It doesn't work. As Nagel puts it, we do not at present have any conception of how it might be true. Scientists who claim mental states are just physical states are guessing. We have no framework to understand how physicalism could even work when it comes to the human mind. Claiming otherwise is just sloppy craftsmanship. That leaves us with one final fact. If mental processes are just physical processes, why does it feel like something to be you? Until science can actually answer that question, the rest of it is just noise. This explainer is over. Go back to doing something useful with your day.